Okay. So I am going to discuss the rehab workflow in the proper order in which things should fall. And there's a pecking order where there's a mix between your administration, whether you're the administration, you have in-house people. There's the contractor, subcontractor, and if you're fortunate enough not to be this person, it's the project manager. So there's essentially like 3 or 4 moving parts going on here. The way I would look at the hierarchy would be you have a project manager, contractor, and then under the contractor would be subcontractors. That would be like the communication channel to me, okay? The other side of it would be you have, as the owner, will be communicating with the admins and the project managers over time. In the beginning, it might be just yourself and the GC, but they're part of the business, which is the lifeblood of everything that transpires. This is the engine to the vehicle that's going to run, okay? People run numbers on the front end, algorithms. The facts are running the project is the actual numbers. It is what the numbers turn into. So if you do not run a good project, you're going to be on the outskirts of things. People that speak it and actually do it are 2 totally different things. So I want to give you the workflow of how a job should run, and this is based on failures, successes, communicating with high-level project managers, general contractors, subcontractors, and seeing what pecking order these things should fall based on the way I've seen it in my lenses. Doesn't mean you're going to see it in your lens. You may tweak a couple things here and there, but for the most part, you are not going to look at this workflow and say, Mario, this function should be 5 to 10 steps ahead or behind, because it's not the case. It's very, everything's aligned, and you might tweak a couple things here and there, but overall, this thing makes sense A to Z. I also color-coded what the admin's task should be, what the project manager task should be, and what the contractor crew's task should be. So you will see in this micro breakdown of how this whole thing lays out. Before I dive into it, I would use a sports reference, because I'm a filled of sports references. This is your football team, and you are Robert Kraft. Your general contractor or your project manager, whoever you have, is going to be the Bill Belichick. He is going to be the head coach who executes your vision and your game plan that you have set out, okay? So within the parameters of your philosophy and your vision, you need the head coach to execute those things to make sure that you have wins on the board and less losses. You cannot have losses in this business on the flipping side or the construction side, whether it's a financial loss or there's a time loss. So make sure that your team, you are evaluating these guys on a weekly basis, or even a daily basis from a daily huddle. But this is extremely critical. So look at this whole organization that you are creating here as your football team that you own, and have the right players, the right personnel, the right coaches, the right people at the desks. All these seats have to be filled with the right people, okay? Now I'm going to present this and go through it, and I will stop at key points that I feel are necessary, but I'm going to share the screen here. Now, first, we have the administration, the crew, project manager. In the beginning, you could be the administrator and the project manager. I mean, you could actually be the crew too if you're extremely handy. But let's just, for argument's sake, the crew is handled. You're the administrator and you're the project manager. We're talking in the beginning. The project manager and the administrator, you will do those 2 color-coded tasks, and then the crew will just be overseen by the project manager, which does all the red tasks. Okay? Red tasks, as you see, this is the interior remodel workflow. So the rehab workflow overall are all these different parts where the arrows are going to the next step, the next step. Inside of this, there can be multiple things done. If you're working on the inside and the exterior could be done, they could be done simultaneously. So I'm going to breeze through some areas. I'm going to pinpoint things that I think could be done at the same time. First thing you're going to have to do, get the property under contract, and then have your team file all your documents, whether it's on Google Drive or old school filing system with papers. File these bad boys. You will need them again. Pre-acquisition walkthroughs, go through budgets, scope of work with your contractor. I would make sure that subcontractors are involved if it's anything with permits or major electrical, plumbing, HVAC work. You're going to then close on the property. Utilities turned on, would make sure I called all the utility companies today, which is a Monday, to make sure everything is set for Tuesday, tomorrow, where there are no delays. A function which is extremely important to get this done, which are electric, gas, water, and sewer. You are going to request and finalize all bids and then complete the project plan. And then the next thing would be award the job. The first entire row and then this first box could all be done at the same exact time, as well as apply for building permits as well. You are then placing a dumpster. The dumpster can be placed back in this process of closing on the property. These two, between utilities turned on and placing the dumpster, could be done with a phone call, okay? That's why they're administrative tasks. Start and complete the demo. This will be started. While the demo is being done on the inside, there might be some exterior demo. You can also look at doing the roof as well. So these two could be done at the same time. Foundation repairs can be done if there are any. Exterior framing and windows can be done. So any window treatment, I mean, say there's cracked glass, these are things that can be done. Order windows, project manager would do if there are windows that need to be done, but really the framing would be done on the front end. The interior, say it's a full gut job. The electric rough, HVAC rough, and plumbing rough would be done. Up in the top section, you would call these trades, make sure you have them in a timely manner, but you're going to have to make sure that the GC is working with your project manager, or if you're the project manager, work with them to get these subs in this order, okay? The electrical cover inspection, the HVAC cover inspection, and plumbing cover inspection. This is also known as the rough inspection from the township. Once it's approved, then you can start the interior remodel process starts, okay? So you are going to do, next thing, you start installing windows. You install siding, fascia board, the soffit, wrap around the house, the windows on the exterior. Some states do require exterior code compliance. The inspector would come out and just make sure that everything's set up properly. Let me back up. So the interior remodel starts in this ledger. This is the deeper dive inside the interior remodel. Now, this is a general contractor or carpenter who will do majority of this type of work, the carpentry work. They will do the framing and roughing. They will pass the initial inspection. They have to do insulation if it's a northeast region. If it's the south, there's no need to insulate, but then you're drywalling, mud, spackle, tape, and then you move on to painting. You paint the doors and trim. I would make sure your contractor puts them on horses, the doors and the trim, paints them independently. Because what you want to do is when they do their second coat of paint, it is already installed with its first coat of paint. So when the paint and doors, when the doors and trim are hung, they do their second coat of paint and everything is painted at one shot. So make sure that this is not installed after the first coat of paint and then they go in and paint the doors and trim. Put them on horses, paint them, okay? You're gonna put the cabinets up. Doors and trim are gonna go up. Flooring is always dead last. Finishes, and then appliances. Finishes are anti-tip brackets, handrails, closing up balusters, smokes and carbons, all the little ancillary knick-knack things. Finishes are here. This could also apply to putting in some fixtures like plumbing fixtures, electrical fixtures, but finishes can be broad. So play that out based on what you want to do, but do not have finishes done in the painting section. You have them done at the end, and then the appliances as well. So let's go back here. We have countertop gets installed because the cabinets are getting put in. the finish remodel, back to the finish part. You're going to have the electric finish trims, all the trim kits of the electrical, which means the electric fixtures, the HVAC trim, the plumbing trim kits. So your HVAC will be grills they will install if they're return grills or the regular air vents, plumbing fixtures, the electrical final, HVAC final, and plumbing final inspection, which is done by the township. After approved, put the flooring in, appliances, landscape and gutters can be done down here because there's a lot of like stuff that are being done on the outside. Apron final clean is extremely important. If it's a rental property, you get a rental inspection, you get final photos, as well as getting this property listed on Zillow or Craigslist or other different ways they do it. But this is all handled by the admin really when you're coming down to the 5-yard line and these things have to get punched out. The admin comes back into play while the contractor is doing this, and a project manager oversees this entire workflow of a job. Now, I probably shot this video about 3 times because I felt it was extremely important to shoot and shoot correctly. And what I would say again is don't get too comfortable letting your contractor run the entire show. You're going to have a presence or have a employee who you hire have a presence with your general contractor. From my experience, after 2 to 3 jobs, there is a decline in your contractor. Who knows why? It might be a comfortability thing. You're going to have to be on the ball. Don't slip up the payments. Inspect it. Any sign of weakness or that you are eased up on your boundaries with them, it will be taken advantage of. Okay. I would say always have your guard up. Unless you have a contractor that you're in bed with for several years. I have a contractor right now, 2 of them actually. I've been doing business with them for over 3 years. Great relationship with them. You don't even have to give them a draw on them in the beginning because they trust the money's good and I trust that the work is good. But in the beginning, do not think it should go that way. It is your team. It's your show. You're Robert Kraft. You've won Super Bowls and you are planning on winning Super Bowls, but you have the demeanor and the confidence that this is the way it's going to be ran. And even presenting a workflow of this nature to these contractors are going to show them that you have your shit together and you understand the order of importance and how things are done. They may challenge you. It could be a fun dialogue and back and forth. But I've shared this with a lot of guys that I respect that are GCs, and they love it. They think it's great. And it's a way of solidifying that you understand the language and the process of how things get done. And there's a respect factor inside the community within those blue collar guys. So hopefully this was of value. I take this part very seriously, and I also understand this is where all the money's made by making sure the projects are ran correctly, swiftly, and you hold a very strong stance on timelines and making sure they're done. But any other questions, please let me know. Give me a holler. I appreciate the time.